Hey, it's Andrew Rusnak with Charlotte Content Marketing, and I didn't break out the mic setup and all that good stuff for today's podcast episode. If you're watching on YouTube, then you'll be able to see that. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else, wherever you get your favorite podcast, you should notice little to no difference whatsoever. But this time I've just got the wireless setup going on. I didn't have time to set up the entire studio here. So before I get to today's topic, and it's going to be about Reddit, everybody's favorite go-to controversial website right now. And with all the news going on, Reddit is getting more unwanted attention. We're not going to be talking about that. We're not going to go into any kind of controversial stuff, but we are going to be talking about Reddit. But before I get to that, I do want to mention, once again, I was right. Cracker Barrel, I can't not talk about the Cracker Barrel situation. For those of you who don't know, Cracker Barrel, noted old country store, restaurant, American classic, if you will. They decided to rebrand, and so they changed their logo, and they were going to be renovating the inside of all of their restaurants. Personally, just me, I didn't think that the renovations looked bad. I didn't think it looked like Cracker Barrel necessarily, but it didn't look bad. But there was a huge uproar. People did not like the logo change. They did not like the renovations that were taking place inside, and they raised a big issue about it online, and Cracker Barrel relented and said they're going to change the logo back, and then they relented further and said that they are not going to be renovating any of the insides of their restaurants and stuff. So, this is once again one of those situations where, much like Jaguar, which I talked about a little while ago, this is once again one of those situations where you need to know your customer, know what they want, know what they like, and give them that. I have a feeling, I don't know this for sure, I have a feeling that what happened was the marketing department, or whatever marketing partners that Cracker Barrel pulled in for this venture, said, hey, we need to update things. We haven't updated the logo in forever. We haven't updated the inside in forever. We need to refresh. We need to get more people in the door, and I think that we need a modern take on Cracker Barrel, which all sounds good on paper, and it all sounds good when you're sitting around a boardroom meeting table and everybody's throwing out these new, fresh, modern ideas and stuff, and it sounds really good. Unfortunately, I don't know that they ever stopped to ask patrons or fans of Cracker Barrel, what do you think? Do you think it needs to be updated? Do you think it needs a refresh? And that is where you can go wrong. Just because you think that a brand needs a refresh, or just because you think that your products or services need to be changed, does not necessarily mean that your customers want them to be changed, okay? And Jaguar, I think, kind of learned this lesson as well. I mean, they went for some crazy out there, I call it Zoolander-esque, after the movie, and they decided that going in this totally brand new direction was the way to go, and the backlash was severe, and sales declined, and the CEO quit. I had some dweeb push me on that and say, oh, well, actually, he was going to quit anyway. So he was just stepping down because he had been there for 30 years. Okay, cool, whatever, man. All right. And so just because you think that your brand or your products or services or whatever needs some radical refresh or rebrand does not necessarily mean that your customers feel the same way. And so I go back to what I have always said and what I continue to express whenever I'm talking with clients who get this idea in their head. It's like, okay, but how do your customers feel about this? Is this a good idea for them? And what is this going to do for your customers? So anyway, that's my take on the Cracker Barrel situation. I couldn't let it go unaddressed. But Reddit. So Reddit is, what kills me about Reddit is a really good idea, and Reddit to me harkens back to the old internet from when I was a teenager, and the internet was this new, fresh thing. And the way that people communicated, or one of the ways that people communicated, was through bulletin boards and through message boards. And, you had message boards that were designated for specific things and specific communities, and people would come together on those and discuss various topics, and you would have a thread that would go through, and people would leave comments and respond to one another, and that was in my eyes, it was a pretty efficient system, and it fostered community and it fostered engagement. And Reddit is sort of a conglomeration of, if you have an interest, you can create your own subreddit or your own personal message board for whatever your interest is, and other people can join it and join in the discussion. And I think that that's really cool. Now, one of the challenges with Reddit is that each subreddit has moderators, and sometimes they can be a little bit heavy-handed, depending on how you look at it. And so it can sometimes be a little bit tough to express yourself depending on how strict the rules are on the particular subreddit. And I know that that's a complaint that a lot of people have. At the same time, much like with older message boards and bulletin boards and things like that, you had moderators and people who watched over things back then. And, obviously there needs to be some type of accountability in any type of public community, in any type of public forum, so that people don't bogart the conversation, people don't turn it into a place for harassment or threats or derailing conversations. But so that is one of the challenges of Reddit, if you ever decide to get on Reddit, or if you ever decide to put your business on Reddit. And really, that's the crux of what I want to talk about today, is the benefits of putting your business on Reddit, and at the same time, some things to watch out for when it comes to putting your business on Reddit. So the reason I bring this up is because with AI, one of the places that Google gets its training data for its AI overviews and other AI products is from Reddit. They actually had a deal with Reddit a while back, and I'm not quite sure what the state of that is currently. But because a lot of people would search and then append Reddit onto the end of their searches because they were looking for real experiences and voices from actual people, Reddit became very popular in Google searches. And so Google draws on all of the data that Reddit has for years and years and years going back for its training data for AI, which can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. One of the reasons why we've run into, you may have seen these stories about Google's AI telling people to put glue on pizza and all kinds of other crazy, wacky things, is because AI doesn't think. Okay, and so it can't discern between sarcasm or when someone is trolling or whatever. Or so, I take that back. In some instances, it can, but by and large, it can't tell between the two. It's gotten better at it, but one of the problems was that it was drawing answers from Reddit, and it would find someone being sarcastic or someone trolling, and it would just insert that as gospel into its answer. So because Reddit is used for Google's AI training, a lot of SEO professionals have recommended creating a subreddit for your brand and then getting on there and posting regularly updates about your brand, coming up with insightful posts to post on your dedicated brand subreddit. And while that's not a bad idea, and one of the other things that gets tossed around is to get mentions on Reddit. So create an account, find related subreddits that are connected to your industry, and then casually drop in and drop your company's name in the discussion. So actually make posts and converse with people. But let's say you make light switches. So you'd go on to the electrical subreddit where electricians come to talk, and you can jump into a discussion about some problem that a contractor had trying to wire up somebody's house. And you could say, oh yeah, I had that problem too, and I used XYZ switches to solve the problem. Right. So you are now getting a brand mention, and like we just covered, Google draws a lot of its training data from Reddit. And so therefore, you being mentioned on Reddit with your brand name and light switches and electrical and all those entities that we talk about, that means that you have a greater potential of being found in large language model AI results. The problem with that, and this is where the cons come in. So that's, again, it's not a bad idea. The bad part of it comes down to this. So remember how I just talked about there are moderators, right, on these subreddits. And these are places where we're supposed to be fostering genuine conversation. Well, a lot of times these are people who are knowledgeable about the various topics that they're engaging in, on the subreddit. And so therefore, you could be very quickly found out to be a shill, okay? And people will call you out on it. Well, that data also gets picked up in the training data and sent along to AI. So you run the risk of getting your brand mentioned in a negative light. Because if a whole bunch of people start calling you out and saying, hey, wait a second, I've never heard of that brand, or that brand is junk, or I have a friend who got electrocuted because of that brand, or you sound like a shill, why are you in here shilling for your product? Well, you can't delete those comments. Now you can delete yours, but you can't delete those comments. And those are going to become part of the training data as well. And now you run the risk of your brand being caught up in a output from AI that includes a lot of negative connotations. So it may say something like XYZ light switch brand, is known to be used for home electrical projects and can solve this problem and that problem. However, some users on Reddit believe that the product that the company uses underhanded marketing tactics. So I just want to say, when it comes to Reddit, it's not a bad thing to create a subreddit for your company, for your brand, and it's not a bad thing to update it often with genuine, accurate information. And it's not a bad thing to engage in conversations with other people on related subreddits. And but I would just say, if you're going to do that, if you're going to go that route, I would personally add in the little disclaimer that this is a brand account when you're replying to someone and you're trying to promote XYZ, light switches or whatever the case may be. Put a little asterisk and say, this is a brand account. Or this post was made by a representative of XYZ light switch company, rather than taking the chance of being seen as a shill and getting called out for that. Because again, people will call you out on that kind of stuff, and then that can get mixed in with the training data as well. So rather than take chances, just be honest and upfront and obviously when you're posting on your own brand subreddit that you control, I mean, you can post whatever you want, but at least there it's known that this is a brand subreddit. And so you're not running the risk of looking like you're trying to be underhanded. So just my 2 cents and Charlotte Content Marketing's guidance currently on Reddit. We do encourage you to create a subreddit for your brand. We do encourage you to post and promote on there. And we do encourage you to engage in authentic conversation across Reddit. But just be wary, just know that you can't control the entire conversation. But that entire conversation can be then used for training data for large language models. And once it gets out there, you kind of lose control of the narrative. So just be mindful of that. So if you have any other questions about Reddit, or if you're interested in working with a content marketing agency to create and distribute content on Reddit or social media, blog posts, podcasts, video, get in touch with Charlotte Content Marketing. We work with clients all across the Charlotte Metro and all across the world. We can work with you remotely for a lot of things, and we'd be more than happy to discuss your project and talk about what we can do to get strategy driven solutions to get greater visibility and build, foster, and further customer relationships. You can get in touch with us online at charlottecontentmarketing.com. You can email us at hello@charlottecontentmarketing.com. We can be found on socials, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, here on YouTube. Obviously, you can find the podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And you can also give us a call at 704-323-6762, and we'll be more than happy to talk and see if we're the right fit for your needs. And even if we're not, we'll be more than happy to help you find some solutions. So I want to thank you for tuning in. And once again, my name is Andrew Rusnak with Charlotte Content Marketing, and I'll catch you next time.